My name is Niv David. I'm a fellow and lecturer with the Blavatnik Interdisciplinary Cyber Research Center here at Tel Aviv University, Israel. And it is my privilege now to continue the last day of the Cyber Week with a fascinating talk on one of the most important cyber threats in recent years, cybercrime. Oded Vanunu will take us through the upside down roles and responsibilities of cybercrime syndicates. Oded is the head of product vulnerability research at Checkpoint Software Technologies, a fairly known cyber firm, I think, to most of the world. And he has more than 15 years of InfoSec experience. He's a security leader and an offensive security expert. I think that is all you need to know about him. And Oded, please, the stage is yours.
Thank you very much, everyone. So, what we will talk today. So today, we will try to understand how come we hear so many successful cybercrime campaigns, cybercrime attacks, and we don't hear too much about takedowns, about cybercrime that's been arrested. So what we will do is that we will try to understand how cybercrime working today, following researches that we did in the past years, following activities that we were uncovering or activities that we were researching. So I'm focusing on offensive security. My fundamental is software architecture and threat intelligence. I'm more than 18 years in Checkpoint and in the InfoSec community. So in order that we will be able to understand the full scope, let's first of all understand what is the status of cybercrime. So in the past, we were thinking that cybercrime is just a bunch of people that sits on a garage with hoodies and just like firing tools. This is not the situation these days. Since the introduction of cryptocurrency, like almost like 10 years ago, that was making the big change on the cybercrime. What we call cybercrime moved from an organization that are like acting from activist decision, like naive way, into full organizations, an organization that have clear structure of CEO, CTO, operation manager, finance manager, and a lot of more roles that I will introduce, and I will share with you exactly what are the roles. We need to understand that since cybercrime today can cash out very quickly from cryptocurrency, from Bitcoin, for example, so this give them a business plan. This give them a business strategy with goals, and the goal is, of course, to make money. And if you are able to make money from a legal way and to stay anonymous, this give a big ground for cybercrime to take a powerful steps and become powerful as nations, because they can buy weapons, they can buy cyber weapons, and they can pay a lot of money for services and for people that will be part of their organization. So before we will share the structure and talk the structure, it's also important from fundamental way to understand that while I'm attacking a target, what are the steps that I'm taking? And after we will finish this presentation, all these attack targets will make clear to you which part on the cybercrime is responsible for it. So first of all, when I'm having or defining a target, so I want to attack some kind of organization or individual. So first of all, I'm defining the target, and I'm starting to find exactly which kind of technologies this target are using, and then like in what we call on armies, or like in weapons industry, we are starting to build weapons that will be adjustable, or weapons that will be focused on the target itself according to its technologies. And of course, building the weapons in the cybercrime are usually playing with 1 days, not with 0 days. But there are, of course, cybercrime that are using 0 days, but 0 days are much more expensive and they will use it for very, very specific target. So usually they are using a lot of 1 days, and they are researching, of course, the infrastructure, the employees, the people, reconnaissance that we know, and then they are testing the weapons that they decided to use, that these weapons will not be detected. Of course, everything is tested on a sandbox. We will talk about all these steps deeply. And once they created the weapons, and that will be focused on these specific targets, and maybe they create few weapons for what we call plan A, plan B, etc., etc., they are starting to deploy the infection points or the infection of the target in order to get the weapon installed on the target. And today, the deployment of cyber weapons, of cybercrime, is something that's we familiar like a DevOps operation, meaning that they need to create a lot of bulletproof infection points on the internet. And this is like a very big step. And of course, that after they are doing the deployment, they are starting to penetrate inside, and they are what they are trying to do is to do lateral movement or to expand the hold of the system. And then they are trying to take the data outside and to uncover the tracks to remain undetected or move to another target. So this is like the cycle of like a high-level attack, and soon we will understand how cybercrime are doing it. So following 1.5 years of trying to map the entire cybercrime organizations structures, so what we are found out that cybercrime has a CEO level, it has a CTO level operation. They have customers, of course, and they have CFO, which was responsible for the money. And what we will do is that we will talk about all these components deeply to understand what kind of professions and expertise each of these roles has and what is their part on the entire campaign. So before we will move, let's first understand how they communicate. So since everything is moved to end-to-end encryption, so it's very easy for the cybercrime to use our application, our communication application like Telegram, Skype, Jabber, and every end-to-end encryption application. And this is like examples of communication that we always like intercept while discussing with the cybercrime organization in the darknet while we are playing as avatars on the darknet, and this is like the communication level. So let's start and understand the roles and responsibilities of the cybercrime. So the cybercrime has a CEO, which we call the kingpin, and the responsibility of the kingpin is more responsibility from a business perspective, meaning that he has goals for revenue, he has goals for money that he can get. And we saw a lot of transition from conventional crime into cybercrime because there is much more money in the cybercrime because of the cryptocurrency than in the conventional crime of like breaking a bank, physical things. It's less things that we hear, and it's less things that are having what we call return of investment, ROI for that. So the kingpin is very connected, and you can call him like El Chapo of the cybercrime, or Pablo Escobar of the cybercrime. And there are many organizations of cybercrime hacking group that has powerful CEO, but they are working from business perspective, and they are building very technical teams. And of course, all the technical teams are reporting to them. And we need to think about it like from our industry. When we want to build the organization, we want to make sure that the CEO picks the best marketing manager, the best DevOps engineers, the best R&D engineers, CTO, etc. This is how it works also on the cybercrime. So after we familiar with the CTO, with the CEO, with the manager of all this specific organization cybercrime, so we are moving to the another very important component, and this is like the technical manager, which is like the CTO. And we need to understand that all the communication with the team and the people are doing on anonymous way or in avataring way, that they are communicating. They are actually not meeting each other physically, because today they can, because everything is connected, and the cybercrime is being developed so much because of the cryptocurrency. So there is a lot of people that work on the underground, on the cybercrime, and they are doing well. So the technical manager is responsible to create the cyber weapon. He got the targets from the CEO. For example, the CEO decided that he creates a pipeline of targets. Each target has a tag price that they are expecting, meaning if they want to attack an energy company, they will say, okay, we can take from them like few millions of dollars, and we can attack a bank, or we can attack some other companies around the world, and everyone has a tag price. And we see along the years that ransom attack or cybercrime attack, as the tag price is always growing. And if in the past it was just like few of thousands of dollars to get like a rescue, or to get the keys, or to get like the data that the cybercrime will not sell it. So today we are talking also about millions of dollars on cybercrime activity. So the technical manager is getting the target, and he's starting to create the weapon. And the weapons that he is creating, he is using few services or few teams inside his organization. And these are people that are usually the exploiters, that are actually taking 1 day's vulnerability, not 0 days. As I said, 0 days are like for specific and very high level or high volume target, and this is like things that they can consider. But most of the attacks that cybercrime campaigns are doing, they are using 1 day, meaning that there is already patch, but we know that it takes around 100 days for organization to update one patch. So it means that there is like thousands of 1 days available in potential to start weaponizing. So the exploiters are taking 1 day and weaponize it, building it, changing it, focusing it to the targets. And once these exploiters are creating the weapon, they can use it on exploit kit authors that will execute it, or they can get another weapons from the exploit kit authors. And we will discuss soon on what is exploit kit, and I will give you a live example, or I will give you examples of operation that we had on CPR and Checkpoint Research on this subject. And of course, one of his teams that is after is creating his weapons, they need to test the weapons, because if the weapons already have signatures, if the weapons already has a fingerprint outside, the operation will not succeed. So they are using services that are taking the weapons, and they are actually having what we call sandbox environment with most of the security solutions around the world. And this security solution is isolated, it's a sandbox. Nothing is being sent to VirusTotal or like being updated. And they're checking the weapons to see that no one is detecting it. And until they are not getting the validation, they will not be able to progress with the next step of giving the weapons to the operations teams. And this services is called fully undetected. They are having many techniques like packing, like encryption, like changing some bits, changing the fingerprint of the weapon, so that security solution will not catch it. This is examples of cybercrime organizations and services that are selling 0 days and selling 1 days, and this is like happening all the time. This is not new, and this is like one of the services also that the CTO is using. For example, you just here uploaded your cyber weapon, and they are making sure that you are fully undetected. And they are also providing you all the feedback and status in order how to do that. So after we finish the CEO and the CTO, which is like responsible for the weapons, and the CEO responsible for the targets, let's give you some kind of real world experience. And then we will continue with the roles, just like to understand what's going on and how it's like in the real world. So I want to talk about nuclear exploit kit. Nuclear exploit kit was the biggest exploit kit a few years ago, and what is like an exploit kit? So to do it quickly. So today there is big activities of cybercrime that what they are doing is that they are penetrating into big websites that have a lot of traffic, news, sports, whatever. Legitimate websites that everyone is like using. And in most of these websites, they will find a small compromised location of cross-site scripting. This is something that you can find on like 95% of the website in the world. This is the reality. It's not something that's that you are not familiar with. And once you have like a small cross-site scripting, it means that you can inject JavaScript, simple JavaScript. And this JavaScript will just, once you will go to the website that you are going, let's say, for example, a news website, the JavaScript will be downloaded to you, and it will have like a simple GET request to a malicious website. So this is how the cybercrime are making sure that once you are entering to a major website, they still can redirect user behind the scene to a malicious infection points, and then these are like potential infection places. So this is like how exploit kits work. This is how they control the traffic. They are exploiting a legitimate big website, installing, planting a small JavaScript that is being downloaded as the HTML protocol, and this JavaScript just redirects you to a malicious website. So nuclear exploit kit, you need to think about it as a service in the darknet that you are entering and buying a panel, buying like a SaaS service, but this SaaS service is like doing only infection. And as you can see, the nuclear exploit kit has a lot of vulnerabilities available, and that was like the cost. To get access for 1 day, it's like $30 and months, it's like $500. This is nothing. This is very cheap. And then you are getting a panel, and in this panel, you are getting from the exploit kit author 1 day is available for you to attack any operation system that you want. And then they are also making sure that they can give you all the infrastructure for the infection point and what we call service end-to-end. And you are just entering to this panel according to the lease period that you bought. And you are getting all the time 1 day is available, and you are starting to infect user, and you manage your own business, just giving like a service. And this is something that is like very famous today. There are still exploit kits available. And what we are doing in Checkpoint research in general is that part of the cyber ecosystem is that part of the research is that we are having big visibility on the underground of avatars, because we want to review and check what are the new cyber weapons, or to understand what's going on like all the time in order to get intelligent. And this is something that we do on a daily basis. And of course, that if there is like an exploit kit that we can access or we buy as a criminals, so we are doing it in order to research. So we got access to nuclear exploit kit, and we were lucky because we immediately found vulnerabilities inside the infrastructure of the nuclear exploit kit. And that gave us a way that we could penetrate inside the entire nuclear infrastructure. And then we were sitting there for weeks. And of course, all the time that we sit, we were providing intelligence to the Europol and to the US Homeland Security about what's going on, what we see, all the things. And then we mapped the entire agenda of this exploit kit, and we had the statistics, and we understood exactly how much they are doing every month. So back then they did like $100K for 1 week activity from using this infrastructure, of course, because of the ransom and because of all the money that they got, and it's a lot of money. And as you can see, it's a big money. So once we mapped everything and we got in the entire intelligence that we decided that we are going to release a research paper of uncovering nuclear backend. So one day we released it, and after 48 hours, the author of nuclear exploit kit understood that he's being like hacked, and all his operation was down. Oh, sorry, all his operation is being revealed or is being uncovered, and so he need to run and to hide. So he took down the entire nuclear exploit kit product. And after 1 year, he's been arrested by the Europol. And that was the author of nuclear exploit kit. So this is like example of operation of exploit kit author, very successful, that was taken down. But to be honest, this is not happening too much. This is very rare to take down this kind of operation. And we will go back to our story now. And so getting back to our story and to remember. So we had the CEO that is responsible for the agenda. We had a technical manager that is responsible for the cyber weapons. So now the next manager is the operation manager, and the operation manager is responsible for taking the weapons and deploy it as infection point, deploy it on infrastructure that will be very bulletproof, solid for big campaigns. And now we will start to understand, okay, so we had the weapons, but how we get like huge campaigns of millions of users, and how it stayed bulletproof. So the operation manager responsibility is like, you can think about it as a DevOps manager, like one of the best DevOps manager, and he is having many services that is activating. So first of all, what he has is that he need to make sure that all his Osters, all his like infection points will be live all the time, because we know that malicious domain, like after a few hours, between 1 to 4 hours, is becoming black and becoming blocked in IP reputation and domain reputation products. So the Oster is making sure to have like a very dynamic and granular DNS that is always changing, and making sure that your campaign is resilient, that they will not be able to close the entire infection point or infrastructure. They will always have infection points. And then we have like the important roles of spammers and a traffic seller. And the spammers, 21, and still we are getting spam into our inbox with all the technologies that we have, because the spammers are a bunch of people that did reverse engineering to every email technology, and also doing like a lot of research on Office 365 and all the email SaaS services, and they know how to bypass technology. They know how to trick this engine, and they guarantee you that you can buy hundreds, thousands, millions of emails that they will make sure that they will go to their target, and this will bring you traffic, of course, to your campaign. And another thing is the traffic sellers. The traffic sellers are people that you need to look at them like the exploit kit authors. The traffic seller are exploiting big websites and making sure to redirect people to your infection points, and they providing big granularity. You want people from US, you want people from Europe, you want people from Tel Aviv. They have websites infected all over the world, and they can manage and granular the traffic according to your needs. So we said that the operation manager is responsible for the entire infrastructure that the weapons will be able to run and work smoothly. So once you have all these servers, once you have like the spammers ready to start shoot, and they have the traffic that will be adjustable, so they can continue and move on with the attack. And here we can see an example of Osters that were founded in east of Europe. And you see this bunker was like a hosting place that gave services, and this one was taken down. And also, this is part of their offering of the cybercrime to give these services to the operation manager. And here we can see that once we are talking with them and once we are like trying to see what's going on, so this is like the tag price for spamming. So it's nothing. It's like $2,500 for $30. It's like nothing, and this is like very small money for big campaign. In addition, you can see below is that you can get like for example, for $17 you can get 1,000 mix high quality traffic, meaning that it can send you 1,000 users to your infection point, and this is like the tag price. Of course, you are buying much more according to your campaign. So what we had so far, so we had the CEO, we had the CTO that's responsible for the weapon, the operation that is responsible to distribute and to make sure that all the infection points will be bulletproof. And then we have the customers, and the customers is the victims. And these victims, once they are infected, there is a big cycle that's happening. And this cycle is part of the CFO responsibility, of the money responsibility. So we live on an area that data worth gold. And I mean that there is a tag price for WhatsApp account, there is a tag price for Gmail account, there is a tag price for a bank account, there is a tag price for Facebook, for Instagram. Everything has a tag price. Everything is like every price. So once there is a victim that's being compromised, there are data analysts that are starting to see what kind of data they can take out or what kind of data they have in their hands, and start like categorizing in order that they can, after that, sell or do further action. And these data analysts, they are looking on all the data that's, that the victims are having. And we will get to it soon. And then there are the mules. The mules are the people that they will get the money, and this will be laundered by the mules. They will buy merchandise, or they will shift it from one wallet to another wallet, or they will cash out, or they will take part of the money. There is a lot of tactics of money laundering, and these are the mules. And of course, there are the services of the Bitcoin exchange mixing. And we know that blockchain wallets are anonymous, meaning that you really don't know who behind it. However, if there are big campaigns and they're using only one wallet, you can understand the scale of the attack. You can understand how much money they got. So to avoid that, that the cybercrime will be tracked, or that people would try to understand what is the size of the attack. So there is a mixing technique, meaning that your wallet is splitting to thousands of wallets, that's splitting to thousands of wallets, so you are getting lost, and you will never understand what exactly the real wallet of the campaign. So as I said, the victim or the customer has a data that what this is the big money, the data, and of course, if it's like ransomware, so the mule is taking the money and laundry them, and of course there is all the service of the mixing, so you will not see it. So this is example of cybercrime that are looking for mules to transfer money, to buy, to get money from the attack. And this is like a service that they are providing for mixing the Bitcoin wallets, which will give them 100% anonymous. So we are getting closer. So the next step to close the cycle. Okay, I will go back. So just to close the cycle. Okay, so we have the CEO, we have the CTO, we have the operation manager, and then we have the CFO level. And then after the entire operation is completed, it's getting back to the kingpin or to the CEO for further decisions. So what he can take from here. So once he's getting the data from the data analysts, what he can do is that he's telling the operation manager, please work with brokers on the darknet or brokers on the Telegram or whatever, and start sell them the data that we get extra, which can be, credit cards, credential, private information, etc. Wow, it's like changing all the time. And as you can see, once we see, once they are collecting this data, this is automatically being reflected. This is what the brokers are selling. The brokers are selling credit card, the brokers are selling email accounts, credential, and you know, it's like the darknet is like full of crazy things, and it's important to say it again that in the last years, the accounts, the credential, the data of the users, this is like the big deal, the big money. So this is how they are making sure to close the cycle, and then the CEO is also can take a decision to further create another thread that will say, okay, we got a lot of information data that is like very attracting me, and this gets priority, and now I want to do another campaign. So the data is getting back, and it's starting, the data is getting back from here, and it's starting another cycle. So that was like the high level of the cycles that we have. And now, just like soon to be finishing, so okay, so now we saw again the fundamental attack chain, and now we can understand exactly, now that we hear about big cyber attack, big campaign, big hack that was made for a company. So now when we'll hear it on the news, or when we will hear it as a researchers and stuff, we will have the understanding that this is not a one-man show. There is a big team around it, and everyone has a responsibility and very simple role. And their role is like very bulletproof. And so every subject on the attack chain is now very clear to understand who is doing it from the cybercrime perspective. So the takeaway is that cybercrimes are crazy ninjas. They are an organization. This is a profession. They can cash out. Cryptocurrency changed everything. These are organizations, and they are making a lot of money. Malicious things are much more accessible today because of the darknet and because of the end-to-end encryption applications. because in order for law enforcement to really understand what's going on, they need to attack the client side. And attacking the client side, it means that you are using state-sponsor vulnerabilities to access the phones, to access the communication. And this is like a big operation, and it's like very hard for authorities to prioritize it. It's not mean that they don't have the technology or the knowledge to do that. It just sometimes you have too much things and you need to prioritize what you want to do. And we can see there is more hackers and there is more attacks all over the world, and they are making a lot of money. And the last thing is that we as an industry, also the defense industry, we made a lot of change now, and we are like fighting back, meaning that we are seeing a lot of attacks. We can block them, we can attack back, we can report, we can try to see where it's going. So that we have a lot of flexibilities today. I think that a lot of research groups of the industry have today a lot of knowledge and a lot of roles also on the research side, meaning that we as a research in Checkpoint, we are like small army of people that are like analysts, data scientists, attackers, reverse engineers. So it's like everyone has a responsibility to get the full picture, and it's more than 200 people that just focus on cyber warfare. That's it. That was nice. That was quick, and I want to thank you all for hosting me.
So, Oded, I hope you can still hear me.
Yes.
That was absolutely fascinating and really refreshing, yet a scarier observation of the current situation. And we actually have a couple of questions from the audience, but I guess we could spend like at least 2-3 more hours, and I guess you need to go fighting, to go continue fighting the bad guys. So I'll just pick up some very interesting questions. The first question, and it's really a fascinating one. So you mentioned when you spoke about those cybercrime masterminds, the heads of these operations, the CEO, CTO, whatever, and you said the kingpins. You always refer to them as him, as male. Are there queenpins? Are there women heading those pyramids? We know there are outstanding women hackers, women cyber professionals. What is their role in this cyber, domain, the dark side of cyber, if at all, from what we know?
So when we are talking with the darknet, when we are talking with the dark side, we are avatars, meaning that we don't know with whom we talk, and they don't know with whom they are talking. So I don't have of course the observation, but for me, from my side as a cyber professional, it's for me, man and the woman, it's like the same. And if we take it further, it's like I have very strong researchers, girls in my teams, and it's like for me, it's like it's obvious.
So we actually don't know. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, we don't know. If we were if it were a female, we were like taking it down, Or if it's male, we don't know with whom we are talking.
That is a very interesting observation. Question is actually also similar from an organizational perspective, since these are such huge operations, as you mentioned. It's really an industrial operation by now, not some guys or girls in a basement somewhere. So they actually have, from your description, a huge supply chain of their own. And the bigger the operation, it's more detectable. You can, the good guys or the law enforcement can disrupt this supply chain. Aren't they afraid of that, or the gain is too high to be even taken into consideration?
So we are looking at the results. And currently, the results is that no one has managed to slow down cybercrime. They are just become better and stronger, and they have the ability to use weapons of state sponsors. This is different agenda, and of course that they are leaving a lot of fingerprints. But as I said, there are so many moving parts, and they are so professional on anonymous, on hiding. It's not just like juniors or something like this. Is like big operations. So I don't agree that we are managing to slow them down. If we have some kind of evidence or some kind of idea, it's just like give us like direction to what we call to the DNA of it's very, very hard to really get
Pinpoint.
to the pinpoint. But we saw example that's happened, like in a corporation, and it was able we were able to do that because we were able to act the hacker. And this is not happening all the time.
I would like to really, and again, this is a fascinating discussion. We can continue at least, as you said, days. But I think the most important takeout is that really, we have. First of all, thank you so much for being here with us, and thanks to Checkpoint. And since the next Cyber Week will be more or less in a year, you and your team have 1 year to come with a new lecture with brighter news, I hope.
Yeah, but we will be in 2 weeks in DEF CON, so if everyone is going to DEF CON in the Vegas, so see us there. Yes, we will bring a lot of stories.
Thank you very much, Oded.
Thank you.